This episode of Access to the Arts has been made possible through the support of First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations in Wayne County to serve you. First Bank Richmond, bank where you belong. Hi, and welcome to this month's Access to the Arts. I'm Eric. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a chance to start this show in the Tom Thomas Gallery in Whitewater Hall on the Indiana University East Campus, and we're speaking with Carrie Longley, Assistant Professor of Fine Arts and Director of the Galleries here at Indiana University East. Last month we had a chance to talk about the galleries a little bit, the Tom Thomas Gallery, the Meyer Artway, the outside exhibitions, but that's barely scraping the surface of what goes on here. We didn't get to talk to you in the fall when the Whitewater Valley Art Competition was going on. That's always a big piece for you all. I assume it continued to go well?
Oh, yes. We had over 130 submissions, awarded over $4,000 in prizes, and we're able to purchase a piece for our permanent collection on campus.
Nice. Talk about the permanent collection real quick. We haven't talked about that. What is that?
We have over 250 art pieces displayed throughout our campus. That's part of the IU East Permanent Art Collection. We try to purchase a piece from the Whitewater Valley Art Competition each year to add to that. But we have domestic objects such as china and teapots, silver. We have objects from the Far East to teach students about different cultures. We have ceramics, paintings, sculptures, photographs featured throughout conference rooms, hallways for the public to be able to access.
Nice. There is a lot coming up as we head into what is the final semester of the 24-25 school year. One piece that you all have is a high school graphic design competition that's going on. March 3rd through April 16th, I think, are the dates. Talk a little bit about what that is, and is this the first year of that?
This is the second year of that competition.
Okay.
Our graphic design professor, de Villiers, she invites area high school graphic design students to enter a poster into this competition, and we award cash prizes. And
cash is always good.
Yes, students love cash. And most importantly, the students can have their artwork exhibited on our campus for family and friends to visit throughout the month.
So we will look for their work to be hanging out here soon. You've also got what has been an annual event, Empty Bowls. Talk a little bit about how that started and how the community can be a part of that also.
Okay, great. I was introduced to Empty Bowls in 2002 when I was a student at Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio.
So it's been going on a while.
Yes. My mentor there, Scott Dooley, he started the event at Wittenberg, but it's a worldwide grassroots effort with potters. Potters will create handmade bowls and then host a dinner or a luncheon where those bowls will be for sale, and visitors can enjoy a soup lunch, learn about hunger relief in the area, and all the proceeds from that event go towards hunger relief. Okay. Our goal at IU East is to create 250 bowls each year, and those are created from students that have learned how to create bowls on the pottery wheel at IU East, and also area potters contribute to that number. On April 15th, we'll invite the public and campus to choose their favorite handmade bowl and enjoy a soup lunch, and all proceeds benefit the IU East Food Pantry.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll be ready to pass along information for that. Keep looking for Empty Bowls coming up. And then there is the student showcase. That seems pretty open, so talk to me about what that is.
The student showcase is open to any student that's taken a studio art class during the academic year. So many times students that take an art class think that they can only exhibit if they're an art major. That's not true. The student showcase is open to any student, regardless of whether they're an art major or not. It's called an all-hung show, so that means that if you enter the show, your work is exhibited. It's not juried.
Okay.
The awards are juried, and we do have first, second, third place, and honorable mentions, and award cash prizes for students again.
Nice. So lots going on this semester. If somebody wants to keep up with what's happening here at Indiana University East in terms of when things are changing in the Meyer Art Way, the Tom Thomas Gallery, or any of that, I assume there's a way they can do it online?
Sure. The gallery, IU East Galleries, has a web page that features current exhibits.
Okay. Thanks a lot for being with us, Carrie. Always good to see you. We'll be back with more Access to the Arts in just a couple of minutes.
There's nothing like a beautiful day and an early morning tea time. A great experience begins with one swing. Managing finances with First Bank Richmond is just as effortless. Drive after drive, hole after hole, my game is on course. First Bank Richmond, this is where I belong.
Hi, I'm Dustin, and this is Access to the Arts. We're here at Richmond Civic Theatre, where they are about to put on their annual fundraiser, Storybook Cafe. Joining me today is their Stage 1 Managing Director, Ryan Shaw. Ryan, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Dustin.
So, Storybook Cafe, it's been going on for how long now?
So Storybook was, I cannot give you the exact date, but it was early on in the development of Stage 1. I think within the first 2 years of its creation, Becky started it. She had taken her daughter, Emily, to, they used to have these American Girl doll breakfast things.
Okay.
And that got Becky inspired to do something similar here for Stage 1 as a fundraiser, where she would take characters from productions that we were currently working on, different storybooks, things like that. And she created this little breakfast. And it started off kind of small. I think she had maybe 6 characters the first year. And it just kind of became a very beloved part of the RCT Stage 1, and the community really just rallied behind it, and it's just been a part of Stage 1 ever since then.
Right. And you also have been involved before. You were a volunteer, right?
Yes, and you know that.
Yes.
We used to be Buzz and Woody.
Yes.
We both have been characters
Yes.
for Storybook. I have since retired from my character days, and actually try to encourage mostly IU students who are involved in the program, or some adults that are also very supportive of Stage 1 to fill out these character roles that we have.
Sure. So this year there's some new changes. Can you tell us about some of those changes that are happening this year with Storybook?
So Storybook Cafe, when it was created, it was designed as this character breakfast, and that's still kind of at the core of it.
Sure.
We do it a little different now. It's more of a brunch, a little lighter, and we focus more on the character interactions. We have some great partners in the community that get involved. Every Child Can Read is one of our fantastic partners. So every student that comes gets to leave with a book. We have sing-alongs, photo ops, autograph books. You name it. We have added a lot to the event to make it more of an interactive event. And it's been held previously at First English Lutheran Church since the beginning. This year, we're partnering with our neighbors 8 to the Bar, which is just right next door to the theater on Main Street. It's going to be a little different in the design. There's going to be characters are going to be more spaced out. There's going to be even more interactions, more sing-alongs. Mother Goose is going to be there reading stories to the children. So it's grown a lot. Also, in just the number of characters. When we started, we had about 6. Now I round out between 25 and 30 characters every year, including superheroes, princesses. Again, we try to keep with the tradition of having characters there for productions that are being happening on stage or about to happen on stage.
Sure.
So yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, it really has evolved, even from our time.
Yes.
From doing it, it's evolved, and
yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when is this event happening? And you said where it's happening, and how can we get tickets?
So the event itself is on Saturday, April the 5th. It's at 10:30 to 12 at 8 to the Bar, which is right next door to the theater on Main Street. Right. You can get your tickets by visiting gorct.org or by calling the box office at 765-962-1816. And those tickets don't go on sale until Tuesday, March the 4th. If you're interested in coming, which I hope everybody is, to not hesitate because space is limited. And we are going to be adding some special add-on packages too, that some VIP packages that include a little extra special photo session, and special seating, things like that. So, and those are very limited. So if you're interested, I would say get on there as soon as you can on March the 4th and get yourself a reservation.
Fantastic. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you to First Bank Richmond for sponsoring the arts and access to the arts. I'm Dustin. Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Carrie Longley. I'm an associate professor of fine art at IU East and campus art director. I want to talk about the fine artists that are featured tonight at Palette to Palette. First, we have Melinda Rosenberg. She's a wood artist from Columbus, Ohio. And the committee chose her because she represents the wabi-sabi aesthetic of Japanese art. She chooses repurposed woodwork and forms that wood into fine art and celebrates the imperfections of the wood that she finds. And then next we have Sumiko Takada. She is a Japanese-American ceramic artist that uses inlaid colored slip on her ceramic wares and celebrates the beauty of ceramic art in combination with Japanese aesthetics. And we also are celebrating the artwork of Nat Tran. She is a Vietnamese-American artist that uses the Japanese urushi lacquer technique and uses that in combination with more contemporary materials like plexiglass and wood. And these pieces take months to create. We really are appreciative of Nat Tran participating tonight. She also has works at the Indianapolis International Airport. We also are celebrating the artwork of Annette Werfel and Kathy Gerton, former chancellor at IU East. They both found fine arts after their retirement and have grown tremendously over the last few years and use the mediums of watercolor, acrylic, pastel, and oil paints to create still lifes focused on natural life, which also relates back to Japanese art, which focuses on the natural world. We use all of the funds raised through these Palette to Palette events to directly support our students learning fine arts. Many of our students that take fine arts classes are actually not fine arts majors, but they choose to take fine arts classes to broaden their knowledge and understanding of the visual world. And this year we purchased metalsmithing workbenches and motors to support students learning the metal arts. We're also purchasing new work tables for students taking ceramics classes. Last year I had the pleasure of taking a group of 9 students to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Nara, Japan to learn Buddhist and Shinto art. And we hope to be able to use these funds to support students that want to broaden their understanding of the world and understand Japanese artwork and take that study abroad course in spring 2026.
This show was really worked on in large part last year. 5 days. My father passed away 5 days before my son was born. He died from liver cancer. So that's really the impetus of the show and thinking about me becoming a father, deal with grief and loss, what the show is really about, but I hope it's a little bit more celebratory than that, and more contemplative and reflective, because that's a kind of mentality I approached all this work coming into. And I felt a change in me when my father was passing, and months before my son was born, like what was my role and what was my position, and do I take up his field as being like the patriarch of the family? So all these thoughts in my position, who I am, was really germinating in me thinking about what to do for the show and what work to present. Continuing with my father, so it's really a show, a reflection of men in my family. So you'll see photographs of my grandfather, or technically my step-grandfather, Grandpa Braw here. I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland, so a lot of this is set there. And my father's father, William McAfee, who you'll see in the next room over, who passed away 3 months after my father was born. So there's kind of this weird connection of loss to male figures, but it's still present. My Grandpa Braw has been around ever since I've been alive, so he's the grandpa I know. So when I speak of grandpa, it's going to be him versus biological father. In 2008 is when some of this work was made. That's when I was in graduate school in Philadelphia, and I had a crisis in my work after my first final crit in grad school, and I got torn apart. So I had to really think about what was really important to me and what I wanted to make work about. And resolving or getting a closer relationship with my father was the top of my mind and what I really focused on. So that was a period when I was doing activities with him, just to have a conversation with him, just to spend time with him. He was in Baltimore and I was in Philly. And the result of us spending time together and doing activities together and having a conversation spawned work. So I wasn't really thinking at that time of making artwork, but how can I have, because I'm a document of our time. Part of my practice is shooting, it is printing photographs, but also do photo transfers. So I work with acrylic medium, with gel medium, that painters would know is a varnish for their canvases, and it's a liquid plastic. So I print out digital prints, I brush on this liquid plastic acrylic medium on photographs, and when it dries, I peel it off. So I have a copy of the photographs. I realized I can do photography without the cameras, like cameraless photography, because the real photography is facsimile and copying. So that's a big part of this, what I do in a variety of ways. The other room, I've been wanting to do light boxes for some time. That's the exploitation of the transfer process I talked about there. I digitally compose paintings from Eric Douglas, photographs from my grandfather, my father, his father, William, medals from when he was in the Army. There's a couple of medals in these photographs too, and patterns from the children's book. So I digitally composed these images and layered them. Then I printed them out and I did the transfer process. So each of those light boxes are 2 copies of the photograph laid on top of each other. Technically, the idea was to give the sensation as if they were 3-dimensional. I usually show work with 3D glasses, but for that work I was trying to create that same effect or a similar effect without relying on the glasses. So how can I do that? So color saturation is a big part of how this 3D effect works, warm and cool colors. And I wanted that space to be more of a contemplative space and a more thoughtful space and a quiet space. And it really exploit the transparency quality of these transfer images. This is by far the most personal, vulnerable work I've done, a show I've done. And for instance, think about family. It was the importance of those who may be here or may not be here. You know, and even if they're not here, they still have a stain on us. They still persist in us. Yeah. And it could be helpful ways to deal with that. You know, it's hard.
Hi there, I'm John Foss, Executive Director of Richmond Civic Theatre. If you've ever thought about being on stage, or perhaps in the orchestra pit, or if you are not a performer but you're interested in being backstage as part of the crew, Richmond Civic Theatre is always looking for volunteers, and we want you. So if you're interested, please go to www.gorct.org and sign up to volunteer.
Hi, I'm Dustin, and welcome to Access to the Arts. We're here at Richmond Civic Theatre, where the main stage production is about to open, Laughter on the 23rd Floor. And I am here with Allison Mops and Andy Shepard. Guys, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having Yeah, good to be here.
Now, Andy, you've been on the show before, but for those who have not seen that episode, remind us some of your credits that you and what have gotten you involved in here.
Oh, thanks, Dustin. I started in theater in the fall of 2018. My wife was going to grad school, and I was bored in the evening, so I thought, okay, I'll just come out and see what this is all about. And Dracula was my first show, and I've been coming back since. Most recently, I was George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
Yeah.
What's made you come back?
What I really love about being involved with RCT is the positive light it puts on the community. It's really easy to sit back and criticize on social media about Richmond and the surrounding community, but it's better to get out and get involved, and you can see the best this community has to offer. And, none of us are professionals. We're just all people here trying to make our city a better place, and it's fun to sign up and be part of something that's bigger than you are, that brings some joy to the community.
Mm-hmm. Allison, you've never been on this show before, but you're also are you fairly new to theater?
2 years ago, was that Breaking the Code? I think.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, to almost the day. So I did Breaking the Code a couple of years ago, and then I've been in the pit off and on since high school.
Okay.
I was on the stage one time as a child as Ivy in the 12 Dancing Princesses, and they never invited me back. I think those were the best. You could have seen the dancing; it was great. I haven't been recording so bad. Allison, pay attention. But it's and then I've been in the pit for Newsies. I did The Wizard of Oz and Charlie Brown. Probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so just playing the violin in the pit is usually where I'm at.
What's made you come back?
It's just, I love it. It's a lot of fun. I've always liked theater. The first production I saw here is Brigadoon back when I was 8, maybe. I don't know. But I loved it. I remember where I sat. I remember it was amazing.
Sure.
And I've just loved theater ever since. And so it's just a great community to come back to. And I like all the people I've met, and it's good fun. It makes, it's so fun to go to work and then be like, oh, I get to go to play practice after that. That's something, yes.
I love it. So you both are in Laughter on the 23rd Floor by Neil Simon. Mm-hmm. Now, for those who don't know, can you explain what the plot briefly is about?
Laughter on the 23rd Floor is about this television show, a variety show in the 50s, and the star is having some kind of nervous breakdown, and the writers are trying to navigate that and keep him happy, keep the show running, and get through this kind of personal crisis. He has a lot of disagreements with the studio, and the writers are just trying to keep things moving and keep it happening. Is that?
Yeah, just trying to keep it going forward. It's quite a cast collection, and they're all just trying to get through and get the best show out that they can.
Sure. Now, this show is written by Neil Simon, and he often bases some of his plays off of his own experiences, this being one of them of his early days as a writer. So tell us who both of you play, and do you know who your characters are based off of, and if you've done any research on them?
Oh, my character is Val. He's a Russian immigrant, and he has the misfortune of being the head writer. So it's his responsibility to make sure everyone's doing their job, and he fails at that repeatedly throughout the show. It's just a hour-long struggle to get people to start working. I did have the name, but I have not researched him. It was no one I had heard of.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Allison?
I'm Carol, which is the only female writer on the show, but she's actually based off of 2 female writers who Neil Simon worked with. I also can't remember their names, but they were written down in my script. Right there. And
yeah, they told us, and we wrote it down.
And I even looked them both up. But there are others who are based off of different comedy writers. One of them is based off the creator and writer of MASH. One that everyone will probably know is Ira.
Ira is based on Mel Brooks,
right?
Played brilliantly by Dwayne Coddington. We can't get through a rehearsal without laughing at him.
I love it. So Neil Simon he's known for the kind of writing where you're laughing one minute and then choking back tears the next. Does this show offer that kind of writing, kind of dynamic? And what kind of humor does this bring? Because it's set in a writing room for a comedy show.
Yep. The humor is very edgy, kind of banter. The writers, they're all kind of smart alecky. They want to get their digs in on each other. Another reason why it's impossible to get them to work, because they're always trying to top each other. Yeah, it's very snarky. There's not a lot of slapstick. There is a few slapsticky elements, but it's mostly just witty banter and comebacks and put downs and a lot of insult comedy. The best kind of
yes.
humor. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of drama about what's going to happen to the show and what's happening to the star of the show, who's played by Doug Wombo, who's really putting in overtime, learning his lines and getting the character down perfectly. But so there is some drama and like shocking moments here and there because there's kind of a personal crisis going on the show behind the scenes, and that's what they're trying to deal with. So
sure. What can audiences expect when they come to see the show?
Just honestly, like nonstop laughs. Really, like aside from like it does get very serious sometimes, but it is so hard to get through a rehearsal without laughing because you just catch all like the little every single line is a joke, and you might not notice it until we just found another joke yesterday when we were going through lines I think we've gone through before, and it's like, oh my gosh. So it's just like, you might have to come see it more than once.
Okay.
Hint.
Yeah.
Because you'll catch new stuff every time you go see it. It's just, it's so much fun. And yeah, it's all sorts of humor. There's like a little bit of slapstick, but some of it is like really like if you know your Roman empires, you're going to find some jokes in there. But then if you also are just like witty banter back and forth, like kind of silly names, we got that in there too. So, something for everybody.
So, and then finally, remind us when the show is and where you can get tickets.
The show dates are April 3rd through 6th. We only have one weekend, so it's very important to get those tickets and while they're there and make sure you're able to go that weekend. There are matinees on Saturday and Sunday, and to get tickets, you can call the RCT box office or go to www.gorct.org.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining me today. And as always, thank you to First Bank Richmond for supporting the arts and access to the arts. I'm Dustin. Thanks for watching.
This episode of Access to the Arts has been made possible through the support of First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations in Wayne County to serve you. First Bank Richmond, bank where you belong.